Hello and welcome to an MCI from 30,000 feet. This OAKWAY training video has been produced by the Waterford Regional Fire Department. OAKWAY, or MABAS 3202, is comprised of 11 township and city full-time career fire departments. Each year, one OAKWAY Fire Department takes the lead to organize, design, and deploy a mass casualty incident training event. The 2023 event is scheduled for September 22nd, 2023, and is being coordinated, planned, and designed by the Waterford Regional Fire Department. In preparation for this event, multiple videos and other training resources have been made available to all OAKWAY Fire Departments and related emergency services. We will continue to post training videos and information on our YouTube channel at OAKWAY Training. During this video, Captain Cooper and Lieutenant Jake Helgemo will provide a high-level overview of what happens during and after a mass casualty incident from the time of incident to conclusion. Specifically, our presenters will help us appreciate the value of stakeholder collaboration and trust, compare and contrast MCI types, list and describe the applicable EMS protocols related to MCIs, list and describe key phases of an MCI, and finally, they will list and describe key challenges associated with managing mass casualty incidents. You can contact the presenters by email with any questions about the presentation. Thank you and enjoy the show. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing great, Jeff. How are you?
Real good. Thanks for joining me today.
Awesome.
Jake?
I'm good, Jeff. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, buddy. Jim, lead us off. Who are you? What do you do and where do you do it?
Okay, so my name is Captain Jim Cooper. I am with the Waterford Regional Fire Department. Been in fire service since 1996, and here I also teach paramedic EMT classes, and I'm going to take up the lead on this 2023 MCI drill.
Yeah, man. The Waterford Regional Fire Department is the lead for the 2023 Mass Casualty Incident Training Schedule, essentially. Traditionally, for the last, 5, 8, 10 years, I don't even know now, there's been an annual training drill where we prepare for mass casualty incidents, and one OAKWAY Fire Department takes the lead every year. This year it's Waterford Regional. Last year I worked with Captain Sova at the Bloomfield Township Fire Department. It was great working with him, and now I get to work with you guys. This is great. So I'm just a West Bloomfield guy over here in Waterford. Jake, who are you?
My name is Jake Helgemo. Lieutenant here with the Waterford Regional Fire Department. Next month I'll start 17 years here, and just recently was appointed the position of EMS coordinator. Last couple of years I've been teaching EMT school here, teaching paramedic school, and then with the recent EMS coordinator position, just learning the ways from Captain Cooper.
Right on. Cap Coop, you did that job a long time, so he's in good hands. The nice thing is you're not retiring right now, so the knowledge is still around. You can just bother him when you got a question, which is great.
I'll still be around to help him.
Well, we appreciate that. We want you around. All right, let's get into it. So MCIs, there's really two different types of MCIs that we tend to get confused with. So let's set the tone right now. There's multiple and mass casualty incidents. What are the differences?
Okay, so a multiple casualty incident is an incident where your municipality or your agency can handle that on their own. So if it's a car accident, then that's something that you can handle without calling extra resources. But as far as a mass casualty incident, that's where you're going to need extra resources because your resources have become overwhelmed. So we're talking about like a natural disaster or something to that.
Yeah, anything that basically overwhelms my agency, right?
That's correct.
So like West Bloomfield, we have 5 ambulances. How many of you guys have on a day?
5 ambulances also.
5 ambulances. So if it basically took up more than 5 ambulances, it's going to be a mass casualty, right?
That's right. It's going to be pretty big at that point.
But if you're Detroit City with more than 5 ambulances, I don't know how many, but lots, they can handle the bigger scope. So it's really a mass casualty is really just taking all the resources of that agency and then some.
Correct.
And that's it. All right, cool. So there is different types of MCIs out there for mass casualty incidents. Can you kind of break down the two big types for us?
So you have a bad guy incident, which would be like an active shooter or some type of act of terrorism, some type of bomb situation, or it could be a non-bad guy situation. In this case, we're talking about a tornado or earthquake or something massive, some type of natural disaster.
Really the big difference is is somebody trying to harm me in the same process? It really breaks it down. We have a number of different people. It's just how we approach it in those circumstances. What are the types of people we need to help? What are their injuries? What are the causes? And if it was a hazmat, we'd have to take on different stuff. So it's just another layer to our response for massive amounts of people getting hurt. So it really probably makes sense for all of our regional first responder groups to really work together for preparation. We talk about OAKWAY. It is a mutual aid group between a lot of professional fire departments in Oakland County. but we have some professional fire departments that are non-OAKWAY. We have volunteer paid and call that are non-OAKWAY in Oakland County. We have private EMS agencies. We have police officers, police agencies, sheriff's agencies. We have lots. Why is it so important for all these different stakeholders to work together to prepare for these types of events?
Well, Jeff, you just list a lot of people, a lot of different agencies, a lot of different entities, and you didn't even mention dispatchers too, so we should add those as well. So if they all work together, if we all work together, if we all train together, then it'll make the incidents that much more manageable when we do have to come together.
Yeah, that's the big one, is having to manage a lot of it. It's going to be a lot of chaos, number one. It's going to be probably pretty scary to the people that go through it, and it's not going to be fun for that first truck that arrives. So there's probably a lot of phases that we break down in MCI, and although they're all different, every call is different, we can kind of predict there's going to be phases to an MCI. Can you walk us through the general phases of an MCI?
Sure. So the first thing you want to do is actually declare the MCI, right? And then if you declare an MCI, you should have some type of plan. So this is where your initial action plan comes into play. And we all know if you have some type of plan, you need to coordinate these things. So that's where your incident management or your IC or unified IC comes into play as well. From that point on, it's just managing those resources, treatment, triage, and transport patients, and then getting people back to their families at the end. And because it's such a devastating incident, there's going to be some type of recovery that needs to be had for the first responders as well as for the public.
Yeah, man, you nailed it right there. That's about like every MCI can think of. Those things are going to happen to some degree. More things might happen, but I got to imagine every MCI that's played out in the last decade anywhere has gone through those things. Doesn't mean they did them well or were prepared for it, and that's kind of why we do after action reviews, to identify where we could have done them better. But when we start to break these things up into phases and talk about what we actually do, Jake, we're guided not only by our initial action plans and what, a lot of our training, it also comes from protocols. So can you talk about the EMS protocols that we're held to that apply towards mass casualty incidents?
Yeah, Jeff. So we know that in Oakland County, we are a protocol-driven EMS system. These protocols should help guide you when you're developing an initial action plan, but we start under Section 10, Special Operations. 10-6 is the mass casualty incident protocol. These protocols help walk you through all the phases of an MCI. Inside 10-6 is, do I have an MCI, triage, transport, all the phases of an MCI are listed in there. And then underneath that, you have 10-6.1 is the MCI assignment checklist. We get a chest pain patient right now. I think we can all recite the chest pain protocol right now. We're comfortable with that. But we get an MCI today, and we're going to need some refresh. We're going to need some help. And if you get assigned, say, triage officer, you may be asking yourself, okay, what are my roles and responsibilities? And 10-6.1 helps refresh you with that, lays out what are the assignments with transport officer, triage officer, all the different assignments. 10-6.2 is the MCI logs, where if you're the transport officer, it helps with tracking where patients went. So they're all logs that are available that you can print off in your pre-planning phase. Lots of departments have already printed these logs off and made them available in clipboards, where if I assign you the transport officer, triage officer, I just hand you this clipboard. All the information's there already for you.
I've seen a lot of departments, especially like OAKWAY, we have an initial action plan and IAP we all share, and you kind of tuck all those things together. You put them all in every truck, and you can just roll it out when you need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
The end of the section there is 10-6.3. It's the state protocol, which Oakland County follows as well. And then it's important to remember and highlight here in this conversation that in 10-6, the mass casualty incident, currently the approved method of triage is using the START and jump start methods. Right now, Oakland County is in their 3-year review with the state of all the protocols, and it is anticipated that START triage will be replaced with SALT triage, which is a different method of triage that we feel might be more effective.
Yeah, not only more effective, I think it got suggested by a provider from the system that had military experience that brought it to the table. Everybody looked at it and said, yep, that's gooder. And what I really like about SALT is it also includes a line item for when you need to do your life-saving interventions and to what depth and breadth, because a lot of times we get bogged down with doing too much or too little for our patients in these situations. And I think the big thing about it is putting it in protocol will give everybody on the same page guidance of how we're sorting our patients, what classification they're at an MCI, and making the next step smoother, eh?
Yeah, I agree. I think everybody will really find SALT a real good method of triaging patients.
I feel it's easier to just learn about too.
Yeah.
When you just break it up, and we'll go through it with Mr. Meyer there, but yeah, it's gooder.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Coop. So nothing's going to go according to plan. Nothing ever does. Your protocols are a guide. Our initial action plan is a guide. Everything is set up to help us make the right decisions all the time. But reality sets in and things break down, right? So let's talk about these challenges that may disrupt the flow of an MCI.
One of the challenges that you'll have to worry about, or that you may deal with or be faced with, is the challenge of overconvergence of resources. You'll have people with self-dispatch and come to the scene. That's why it's important, like Jake said, have that list or have it organized to where you have a staging officer. For every incident that we've had that was a training incident, we've always had problems with communication. Whether you're trying to communicate from the municipality fire department to that same department's police department, that could be difficult. And then if you try to communicate between your municipality and a private ambulance company, that could be difficult as well. So communication would be an issue. Other challenges would be limited resources and limiting staffing. As we know right now, a lot of departments are having issues with staffing. So it'd be hard to get a lot of people to the scene if you don't have a lot of people in your department at the time. Another issue would be training properly, like what we're doing now, to have us train together so when we do have to come together, we're prepared.
Okay, so those challenges are going to be ever present. We can't avoid them. But like you said, us talking about them ahead of time, preparing for them, and then also communicating clearly ahead of time with our potential partners. You know, the MCI could happen one city south, north, or east or west of you, right? So you might be helping out somebody else. So knowing what their initial action plan, which may be different from yours, is probably beneficial. So I think the key to take away from this whole thing is we're working on it like we always do. We're always trying to get better. And the biggest thing we've learned this year is keep talking to the stakeholders and keep training.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think that's what this training is doing for us in 2023. So even though this is OAKWAY training, we're still working with our stakeholders, our partners, in response to how we can best serve our citizens in each community.